I've spent 12 years building luxury brands, and the difference between a $500 brand and a $98,000 brand has almost nothing to do with design. And if that surprises you, especially coming from a luxury brand designer, that's exactly why I need you to hear what I'm about to say. I'm Mariah, award-winning luxury brand designer and business coach. And for the last 12 years, I've built luxury brands for ambitious women who were tired of being underestimated online. I've watched my clients go from overlooked to fully booked, from crickets in their inbox to wait lists of dream clients, from just another coach to landing celebrity clients right after their rebrand. And after 12 years of this work, I can tell you, the brands that command the highest investment and get booked out with the best clients are never the ones that start with a logo or a website. They're the ones built on identity first. Why your brand is failing. When most female entrepreneurs decide to brand or rebrand, what's the first thing they do? They open Canva, they start hunting for fonts, they build a mood board, they refresh their website, they might even hire a graphic designer. It feels like progress. It feels like you're finally taking your brand seriously. But you're not building a brand, you're decorating a business that still doesn't know what it stands for. The DIY brand always starts with design. The luxury brand never does. When I work with clients at the highest level, we don't touch a single visual for months because we're building something underneath first, something that makes every design decision after it intentional instead of arbitrary. And here's what I see happen over and over. A founder will come into my agency with a lovely website, pretty color palette, decent typography. And when I ask them how a client moves from discovery to investment, what the journey actually looks like, they don't have an answer because they built a facade before they built the house. The 3 pillars of luxury brand architecture. So if design isn't what separates a DIY brand from a luxury brand, what does? There are 3 things, and 99.9% of entrepreneurs completely ignore the first and most important one. If you're starting to see the gap between your visuals and your brand architecture, I want you to watch my free training, 5-Figure Clients. A few years ago, I found myself completely booked out with clients who were investing 5 and even 6 figures to work with me. And what got me there wasn't just better design. It was understanding how perception, positioning, and brand architecture actually work. Inside the training, I break down exactly what I did. The link is below. It's free, and it may completely change the way you think about building a premium brand. Now, let me walk you through what those 3 pillars actually are and what they look like in practice. Pillar number 1, your brand identity. Identity is the most invisible layer of your brand, and it's the most expensive one to get wrong. Like I mentioned, it's the one element that most entrepreneurs never even consider. When I sit down with a new client in my agency, the first conversation is never about colors. It's never about fonts. It's about conviction. What do you stand for? What will you never do? What's the standard you refuse to lower? A luxury brand's identity is its non-negotiables. The things it says no to are what makes it desirable. I worked with one of my clients, Nicole LaCroix, on her rebrand at a moment where she was already incredibly talented. She already had the expertise, the client results, the reputation. But her brand still felt so much smaller than the level she was actually capable of. And that's the thing most people misunderstand about luxury branding. The problem usually isn't capability, it's perception. So before we touched a single visual, we rebuilt her identity first. How she positioned herself, how she communicated her value, how the brand made people feel before she ever got on a call. Then the visuals became an extension of that identity instead of a mask for it. And after the rebrand, the entire signal changed. The brand felt more authoritative, more premium, more inevitable. Because luxury brands never try to convince people they're valuable. They signal it immediately. Your identity isn't your niche. It's not your audience. It's your conviction. And the top tier luxury brands, my clients who have invested $98,000 and well beyond, they know this before a single design decision is made. The DIY brands skip it entirely. Identity comes first because every brand is a reflection of the woman building it. If you still see yourself as small, inexperienced, behind, or not ready yet, your brand will communicate that, no matter how beautiful the visuals are. But when your identity shifts, when your standards shift, your messaging shifts, your positioning shifts, the way you show up shifts. And that's when the brand starts feeling premium because it's finally aligned with the level you're actually capable of. Now, you might be wondering, if identity is invisible, how do you actually build it? That's where the second pillar comes in. And this is where most brands fall apart. Pillar number 2, brand strategy. If identity is who you are, strategy is who your clients are. Strategy is knowing who you serve, how you serve them, and why you truly are the very best option. That becomes your pricing strategy, your positioning language. It's the sequence of touch points a client experiences before they ever see your website. It's your velvet rope. Who gets in and who doesn't. When I work with clients, we engineer the entire client journey before we ever design a single touch point. How does someone discover you? What do they feel when they land on your content? What happens between the first impression and the moment they decide to invest? That sequence is the brand. The visuals are just the wrapping. DIY brands talk about what they do. Luxury brands talk about what they stand for and let the work prove it. A luxury brand isn't just expensive, it's intentional. Every step is expertly engineered, from the first impression to the onboarding, to the delivery, to the follow-up. When I work with a client at the highest level, we map out every single one of those touch points, and we do it long before the design team ever starts. More than that, strategy is what turns a service into an experience. And in luxury, the experience is the product. The way a client feels working with you is the brand, not the logo, not the colors, the feeling. And that feeling has to be designed intentionally, deliberately, from the outside in, before a single visual element enters the picture. What standard will you never lower? Before I get into the third pillar, I want to ask you something. Drop a comment below and tell me, what's the one standard you'll never lower in your brand? I want to see who's building luxury and who's still building on aesthetics alone. Pillar 3, visual brand design. So if identity comes first and strategy builds on top of it, then what is design? Here's the truth that surprises people every time I say it. Listen, design matters. Let me be very clear about that. I'm a luxury brand designer. I got my degree in design, and I've built my entire career on design. But design is the last 10%. Design is the physical manifestation of identity and strategy. It's not the starting point. It's the finish line. In my agency, our design team doesn't start until identity and strategy are locked in. Not because design isn't important, but because design without architecture and a solid foundation is just decoration. And decoration might look nice, but it doesn't get a wait list of dream clients. I've seen stunning websites for businesses that still sound like everyone else. The logo was perfect, the brand was hollow, and the clients, they felt it. They might not be able to name it, but they felt the gap between the aesthetics and the authenticity. The visual is the promise, the identity is the proof. If the promise outpaces the proof, the client can always sense it, and they never come back. This is why the rebrand that starts in Canva always disappoints. You're putting a fresh coat of paint on a house with no foundation. It might look better for a moment, but nothing underneath has changed. The luxury brands I work with, the ones who have invested at those 5- and 6-figure price points, they don't start with design because they know design is the easiest thing to change. Identity isn't. And if you get the identity wrong, no amount of beautiful design will save it. Luxury brands are always built in the right order. So where does that leave you if you're building a brand right now or thinking about rebranding? If you take nothing else from this, remember, identity, strategy, design, in that order. Most entrepreneurs do it backwards. They design first, then they try to reverse engineer the strategy, and they never discover identity at all. And they wonder why they still have to lower their prices or chase clients to make ends meet, even after the rebrand. The difference between a DIY brand and a luxury brand isn't the designer. It's the direction. It's the architecture underneath. Your brand isn't your logo. Your brand is what people say about you when you're not in the room. If this resonated and you want to see what these principles actually look like in practice, I broke down 7 specific design decisions that separate a high-end brand from everything else. That video is linked right here, and it's the practical side of everything we just talked about. Remember, the difference between a DIY brand and a luxury brand isn't the design, it's the architecture. Build in the right order, and the design takes care of itself. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up below and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.